I mean, even washboards are jealous right now looking at this photograph.
I'm feeling bad about all my life decisions.
All right, okay.
Whatever. I will say testosterone helps.
I didn't even have to say it. Folks, welcome to the show. I am Dr. Mike Isertel for RP Strength, and I think I'm a professor of exercise and sports science at Lehman College in the Bronx. And today, Mr. Alan Ritchson is going to be the focus of our investigation, where really I make a lot of obscene sexual references at his benefit, really, and try to figure out if his training and nutrition, some combination of that, are spot on. So let us begin our investigation. Get your tissue papers out and make sure the door is locked and grandma's in the upstairs room, and go.
So you bulked up for this role
I
quite a bit.
I did, yeah. I usually walk around at like 205. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah. You know you're in shape when the crowd starts cheering. Woo! Who's that? The first guy to do the howling sound. I can understand some clapping, but Jesus Christ, guy. We're in a studio. Have some restraint. I'd probably be running up on stage to try to grab him. Consensually, at least in my mind.
Oh my God!
No, because I want to be average. I want to be average. I got to, I'm an actor. I got to be able to play like the dad and doctor and the superhero.
Motherfucker, why don't you play the dad and doctor? What you're talking about? You only play one role as far as I'm concerned. No, two. That one football series from back in the day. Blue Mountain State. People like Scott who have no friends, no one to love them, watch your shit. And then you play Jack Reacher, which I think is absolutely in my top 2 Jack Reacher depictions. Rank 1 is Tom Cruise. Anyone want to debate that? As a matter of fact, Mr. Alan Ritchson, you seem like a really tall, really tough guy. He's huge and jacked and can probably beat people up. But we only all ever do one thing when Tom Cruise is around. Cower, kneel, and become irreverent. It's the proper thing to do.
It's a full-time job to eat enough to put on 30 pounds. I had an assistant whose only job was to bring me food.
Rich people, I love you. In fact, I am one of you. Maybe the richest of them all. No, Mr. Nick Shaw, RP CEO, is definitely the richest, but I'm a close contention for second place in the Trillionaires Club. When you say something is a full-time job, it makes it seem like it's hard. And then when you say summarily that you have delegated that full-time job to your assistant, making it not hard at all for you, it falls differently on the ears. But very VIP, very flex the status. I love it. Scott's a video guy. We're pretty famous, right?
I mean, we're the biggest fitness channel on YouTube.
Hey, woo! Where the is my assistant make me shit, bro? I'm still microwaving my
wife.
Yeah, right. You want to go ask her for shit? I get stabbed like that. Still microwaving my own meals out here. And gaining 30 pounds. Anyway, I'm just jealous. Alan Ritchson is a real celebrity and I'm some nobody on YouTube. God damn it. Still. Anyway.
It was like a conveyor belt of smoothies and protein.
What does that look like as far as like?
He's like, well, it's literally a conveyor belt. It's a mechanical device to pull all the items across it, load bearing.
How many times in a day? Like,
he's like, I don't know, man. It's whatever the conveyor belt brings. I never really count them. My assistants do that for me.
Hundreds?
Really?
Maybe.
What? Scott, did I catch that right? Did you say he ate hundreds of times a day?
Yeah. It's a jokester.
Hey, whoa. Thousands.
I would order the crew like Popeye's chicken sandwiches, cookies, just so I could get the kind of calories I wanted. And it looks like a goodwill gesture.
wow.
What's that called? Dreamer bulking, where you just eat fun foods that have some protein in them and blow up. It's dope. It will pack on the pounds. Much of that, it will be fat. I'm curious to see what the time frame was for him gaining 30 pounds, but if you're doing it with Popeye's chicken and cookies, it might be a pretty short time frame, a lot of fat, not so much muscle. I wouldn't recommend this for folks at home, and some of you may be right now typing into the comments, but Dr. Mike, he's on steroids. First of all, you don't really quite know that yet, do you? Although I think he's been public about TRT, which really means steroids. I wouldn't do that on steroids either, because then you gain quite a bit more muscle, but still gain way too much fat, and the impact to your short-term health and perception of how you feel if you eat junk food on steroids is like way worse. You bloat more, your blood lipids go straight to hell, your blood pressure skyrockets. It's all terrible. I wouldn't have done it this way, but maybe I don't know enough about the insider track of how real Hollywood operates. So let's continue to examine.
Leave a dozen of those in my trailer, please.
That was insightful.
I had a good baseline because for the last 20 years, I've been doing pretty much the same thing. When I was 17 and a half, maybe, going into my senior year of high school, I was a very late bloomer. And I sort of decided,
I hope this shit gets somewhere real soon. Yeah, then like my dad left and I did a lot of crying, got a part-time job at a gas station. It was a really formative experience for me. They're like, okay, yeah. Weightlifting? He's like, yes, wouldn't know anything about that.
When I couldn't wait for puberty anymore, I was like, I'm just going to start putting muscle on somehow. And so I started working out, and I did that every day for a year without missing till I cut my hand pretty bad one day. But
don't train every day for a year. That's a bad idea. If you're training every day for a year from a lifestyle perspective, maybe it's cool. But guys, your body grows when you're resting, not when you're training. Taking a few days off here and there. 5-6 days a week is about as full bore as you ever want to go. Rest days are important. A lot of people look at this kind of stuff and sort of tacitly absorb the idea that, well, that's what dedication looks like every day. Team no days off. Remember, as I have reminded before on this channel, there's actually no team no days off. There's no application. There's no number of members on that team. There's no management structure. There is no formality. There's no team. And you're not on it. You're just a person that doesn't understand that rest promotes better gains than just training all the fucking time.
I was so consistent. And I've kind of always been consistent.
Alan's onto some real shit here. So consistency is huge. And a lot of people will look at a gentleman like him and be like, it's all steroids, bro. But like probably most of it is just training for fucking forever. He's like 40, I think. So you train for 20 years, some shit happens. And if you kind of detrain a little bit, muscle memory is a real thing. So if you have to retrain up for a role, start really going hard at it again and eating really well, maybe not Popeye's chicken and cookies well, but get some calories and protein, your body starts to grow really, really fast again. That baseline is huge. Getting initially really fit, way tougher than getting fit again if you've been fit before. So a lifestyle, a lifetime of training, it really does add up for sure.
Aggressive body weight workout with high reps, where I'd get up to doing, 25 pull-ups at a time.
False. Almost everyone who says they can do 25 pull-ups is implicitly lying. And not explicitly lying because they think they did 25 pull-ups because whatever they counted as a pull-up, they got 25 of potentially. But remember, most of this is not coming down under eccentric control to a dead hang, to where you just hang with fully relaxed at the bottom and the chin at least touches or nears the bar at the top. Almost nobody can do 25 pull-ups like that, except for, I guess, skinny old 17-year-old kids might be able to pull it off. But generally speaking, again, why am I saying this? People think 25 pull-ups is like a thing that people do. Actors in Hollywood do it. Even 17-year-old children can do it. So it's like a reasonable goal to set. And then they never accomplish it. And then they think, what the hell am I doing wrong? If you can do 10 proper, eccentric controlled, full depth, full coming up all the way pull-ups, holy shit, first of all, your back's going to be massive. And second of all, that's a really awesome accomplishment that almost no one can do. So 25, yeah, maybe. I wouldn't bet on it.
I learned a lot in the process because, I also did a little bit of damage going as aggressively as I did, knowing like I have this, my livelihood depends on my size for this role.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. That's a trip. Well, welcome to being a professional athlete, first of all. In a sense, he is at this point because he's professionally training in a form of athletics to make money on screen. This is a trip because it's very different working out for fun versus working out for like the better I look for this role potentially, the more I get re-signed to bigger and bigger roles. And then I'm going to the Oscars and actresses are looking at me with that eye that I could be their next fling and well, all good things, all things I imagined for myself. Scott, do you want to go get famous in Hollywood with me?
Let's do it.
How do you think we're
I
going
have
to?
the oral skills already.
AUR oral or
Yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. You are a sound engineer by training, so
I was loading up as much as I could every day, 5 days a week.
bad idea. But Alan knows that.
And I just started like tearing things in the shoulder and, getting injured and the back went out. And so I put the weight on, but, I needed to learn how to work in a way that's, supported longevity.
Very important. Very good.
And so I started looking into hypertrophy and
hypertrophy. Where have I heard that before? Max, hit that fucking ad, baby. There is no avoiding hard training if you want to grow. But if you want to grow the most, your training needs to be hard and smart. RP Hypertrophy app will make sure you're progressing on track, monitoring and adjusting your workout at all times. So for all that work you're doing, you can be sure you're getting the best results.
First group of exercises that we're going to do is work in the bis and tris. Everybody's seen this before, but what I like to do is work with the rope for both the top and the bottom. So
personal preference, I f***ing hate the rope. It's the only thing in the world that hurts my elbows. Terrible. But if you like it, great. I just generally find that I can produce substantially more force with a fixed bar. And the rope also tends to accentuate that peak contraction and minimizes the load on that stretch. And that's actually the opposite of what you want to do for muscle growth. It's been shown pretty conclusively now that you grow a little bit more muscle when you're stretched at the top than like how important it is to squeeze at the bottom. It seems to be not so important. So for that, the rope isn't great. Again, if you like the rope, hey, fucking love the rope. Do whatever you want with the rope. All sorts of creative things to do. There's a few internet websites for how to use ropes in a variety of interesting ways. But yeah, it's no magic in the rope, I'll tell you that much.
We're going to do a tricep pull down superset where we do a pull down.
Push down, not pull down. You're pushing, not pulling. But I'm just being a pedantic asshole because I have nothing else to do. Also, 15 to 25 reps is actually a great rep range for many people in the tricep press down. Press down, press down. Push down works too. Not pull down, just pet peeve. Like most pet peeves, reflects only poorly on the person who has them.
And then we're going to drop that rope and we're going to do kind of looks like a hammer curl.
Yep. We'll have a video on this at some point, but the hammer curl is usually a gigantic waste of time. Why? Because the parts of your forearm flexors, the brachs, etc., that you hit with hammer curls are hit so fucking well with every single pull-up and pull-down and row that you pretty much ever do that it's not great. Also, because the biceps are not, your hand is not in a supinated position, it doesn't really target the biceps as much as it could. And so hammer curls are kind of like, yeah, they have their place, but their place is generally at the bottom. And I'm not a huge fan. The rep range here is good. The technique looks pretty fine to me.
Right? We're trying to aim for 25 reps of each, 4 sets.
Yeah, that's a decent stimulus.
If we look at this as a numbers game and we take that old school model of working out that I grew up with, that I was told a million times, where you do maybe 8 muscle groups, 3 sets of 10 times, I do 6 sets. The hypertrophy begins between 15 and 25 reps.
That's when the hypertrophy begins. It's really 5 to 30 reps, but because 15 to 25 is in the middle of that range, it's a fine number to shoot for.
The last thing we're going to do is move to the easy bar. We're going to do those famous 21s.
21s. Let me tell you guys about 21s. If you had to design a system of training that was wholly arbitrary, you probably couldn't do better than 21s. Why the 3 different ranges of motion in that particular sequence? No clue. Why 21? Also no clue. Don't worry, the person that initially designed it, who has been forgotten by history as far as I can tell, hey, Eric Helms, probably one of the world's foremost experts on bodybuilding history and exercise science history. Eric, if you see this, let us know who the f*** invented 21s and why hasn't the Hague come after them yet. Look, real talk, it's a fine way to train. It's fine. But you probably don't watch this channel for fine. You probably watch it so you can get more jacked and more lean than average. And gee whiz, it's just a whole lot of arbitrary nonsense. Specifically, a lot of reasoning exists for doing a full range of motion first, and then when you're too tired to do a full range of motion, you do the bottom end partial. That's a great way to train, because not only does the bottom end give you that deep stretch under load, which is more hypertrophic, but you're too tired to do the full range of motion anymore, so it's kind of like a miniature drop set. It's like a mechanical drop set. So that works. It checks all the boxes. That would be fucking sweet. So if you did 21s in the sense that you did 14 full range of motion reps, and when you got really close to failure, you did 7 partials, that would be super fucking dope. But that whole like, first you do down here, where you're actually mechanically the most challenged, and thus you get nowhere close to failure. Then you come up here, where it's also pretty easy because the force vector doesn't exist at the top as far as gravity is concerned, and you're sort of like kind of tired a little bit, and then you do full range of motion reps for 7. It's just, I've tried to piece it together in my head how it can be defended and rationalized. It's just really hard to do. Folks, if you're enjoying this video so far, we have a longer, harder, uncut, harder video in the members section. And you can access that by subscribing to be one of our members. It costs a little bit of money, but maybe it's worth it. We have tons of other bonus content for you. Give it some thought.
That's enough. But if you really want to put the icing on the cake, it's good to get a body weight pump. So I'm going to hit the dips a little bit. One of my favorite workouts.
What the fuck is a body weight pump? People say this shit all the time. by the way, it hits different. No, it fucking doesn't. It's the same fucking resistance, same force curve, same everything. Let's check a look at his dip technique. Yeah, it's okay. He could go like 50 times lower and get way more out of triceps. Oh, and by the way, for folks that think dips hurt your shoulders, they don't. And for folks that have hurt their shoulders with dips before, either you had it coming genetically, the injury came from somewhere else entirely, or you fucked up your technique. Dips through a very high degree of range of motion, super, super stretched, are safe for the shoulder joint, and they make your shoulder joint stronger, and they blast your triceps and front delts and pecs to the fucking moon. By the way, if you're going to get in the comments that you may very well saying shit like, oh, I'm a PT and I can tell you for a fact, as a PT here, and I'm going to tell you that dips are no good for shoulders, shut the fuck up. Sorry, I was mean. But you're wrong.
I mean, even washboards are jealous right now looking at this
I'm
photograph.
feeling bad about all my life decisions.
All right, okay.
Whatever. I will say testosterone helps for all the.
I didn't even have to say it. And now he's looking out at the camera to try to punk you out. He's like, testosterone helps you pussies at home. Bitch ass motherfuckers. Do some shit. I'm Jack Reacher.
And I did it without any help. No steroids, no testosterone, nothing.
Good for you.
Huh? Testosterone helps. I put on a ton of muscle without testosterone.
He's going to clarify.
He's going to clarify.
Just hard work. I go to the doctor and let's do a blood panel. He's like, oh, you have no testosterone. I was like, okay, I guess I beat it out of myself.
It is actually possible to do. Not in the literal sense, of course. Boom, molecules fly out. You can get to such a high level of training that you get into a technical state in sports science called overreaching. And one of the measurable effects of overreaching, though it's not super clear, but on average it happens, is your cortisol starts to rise, which is a stress hormone that burns muscle. Oh, good. And your testosterone starts to fall. Your testosterone to cortisol ratio inverts, and that's real bad news. And sometimes that reflects itself in very low testosterone, which makes the whole thing a fucking gigantic uphill battle. But in Alan's case and many other people's case, yes, that definitely doesn't help, the fact that they're overreaching, but also sometimes people in their 30s and 40s experience what's been sort of colloquially named andropause. It's like menopause, but for dudes. And basically your nuts are like kind of taking a cigarette break and don't really produce as much testosterone as they used to, sometimes much less. And then if you get on testosterone replacement therapy that fixes the problem, it can really, really improve the fuck out of your life. We do have a video on the RP channel about TRT, and if it's right for you, maybe someone will link it somewhere here. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't even know how the internet works, to be completely honest. I just assume there's a miniature version right here on my laptop of the literal Alan Ritchson, miniaturized, put into 2 dimensions, and requested to act out the scene, what he did for this gentleman in his show. That's how I think the world works. But the internet's full of amazing things, I hear, including memes. Scott, are we ever going to become a channel which for every line of actual content, we insert a kind of like very poorly known Japanese girl anime meme?
That's what we aspire to.
Weebs of the world unite.
So we started on testosterone, and it was like, oh my God, like a new me. And ever since then, it makes my job easier. There's going to be less wear and tear because I don't have to push. I don't have to do what I did to replicate that again.
Also, if you do what you did, that is train a crap load, and you're on testosterone, you're just going to get to an absolutely new level of size altogether. So it's not true that testosterone and all steroids are testosterone derivatives. It's not true that testosterone and steroids are necessarily a shortcut. They can be. They can get you the same results you would get without them, but with way less work, maybe half the work. But it's also true to say that if you do the same amount of work you used to, you can actually get way more results. So I would say he's probably still training pretty fucking hard and getting really great results. I wouldn't exactly use testosterone as like, hey, I can just take it easy now and still be in good shape. You can if you want to, but certainly not at very high doses, because then it's like, why are you beating up your health to just look eh?
But it's been great, and if you're, I'm 40 years old. If you're, late 30s, early 40s, and you're, just starting to feel like you're slowing down, it's so instrumental in so many mechanisms in your body.
Damn, facts, bro. This guy's a fucking biologist. I love it.
It's a mood stabilizer.
Facts.
It helps, take hemoglobin into your cells.
Facts.
I never took testosterone until well after season 1. So it's possible to do it on your own.
I believe that for some reason. When a handsome man tells me just about anything, I believe it. Come into my minivan that has all the windows duct taped. Sure, Mr. Handsome Man, take this pill. Okay, tie yourself up. Definitely. That was nice. A little bit of BS as usual. Everyone's guilty of it, me mostly. And a lot of good stuff. So what I would take away from this video is that pick a way of training for you that's sustainable, use good technique, don't push yourself too hard, but also sustainability means consistency. So if you're consistent, then you can eat some bullshit and not have to kill yourself in the gym because you're kind of always at it and you're always in really good shape, even if you do a little BS here and there. So awesome. Mr. Allen, if you ever see this, hello. It's been Dr. Mike, and see you guys next time. All right, that was fun. Folks, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video right here, and if you click on it, my butlers literally get paid more, which is awesome, isn't it? Give it a click.